Good evening. My name is Ken Bailey. I am a lifelong hobby cartoonist. In addition to what you see here, over the course of almost 50 years now, I have enjoyed drawing all kinds of cartoons, but my favorite pastime by and away is creating comic books, using my own characters and drawing ever increasingly detailed stories around them and their various exploits. That's me, of course, and the gal behind me, leaping over the car, is the Mighty EnergyGirl, my current flagship character. One of the fun things about creating comic books is it involves creative writing as much as it does drawing pictures. Just about any time can be comic book time. But at last the big day comes and you put the final touches on your latest issue and send it off to the printers. So some of you have seen my finished work on the web, and some of the very fortunate of you may possess one or more of my comic books. Because this generally is done as a hobby, I don't often offer them for sale, although I do sometimes. Mostly this is for personal relaxation and to sharpen my skills for the other projects which I do sell. But anyway, this was the last complete issue of the Mighty EnergyGirl, one involving Native Americans, as you can see, oil drillers, and a cliffhanger ending. So now that you've seen the finished thing, I thought some of you might enjoy seeing what a comic book looks like in the very early stages. As I mentioned, the last one, number 27, ended with a cliffhanger. And so that means there's got to be an issue number 28 to explain how things turn out. So this is where it all starts. This is going to be the cover for issue number 28. Have the masthead in. I use a special cartooning paper designed especially for permanent felt tip pens. And then we come to the end of the book, because at this point the entire script isn't even written yet, but it's going to have a really cool ending. And so since this is a hobby and I may be up against a deadline, but my deadlines are measured in months and not in weeks, I start with the part that is the most fun to draw and write, which in this case will be the ending. So in the last episode, we learned how there was some sort of dispute over oil drilling potentially on Native American lands, and a character named Slim Evensong had designed some Native American flutes and wanted to make them a peace offering to help hopefully pacify both sides and get them talking it through. But the flutes were stolen. When EnergyGirl recovered them, she discovered that a small part, excuse me just a moment, detachable, called the bird, had been removed from the flutes, making them inoperable. So we now are at the conclusion, the climax of the next issue. If you'll excuse me for a minute. Up here in the North Country, we get that in the winter. It's called the rot, otherwise known as sinus trouble. Anyway, so here we have E.G. and Nick Surefoot, the Native American sharpshooter and one of the Choctaw Nation's secret police. They have cornered the bad guy with the small bag of flutes high on a ridge. And at this point, like I said, the script is still being written. We have Nick saying here, "A curse on an injury to my shooting hand. You're all we've got now, Miss Mountain," Moving Mountain being EnergyGirl's native name. "And that chasm will be a long shot even for you. She can jump 20 feet. The chasm is about 30. On the far side, the villain has the flutes and a little bag in one hand and a blowtorch in the other." Here we're a little farther along. This is called the light inking step. We will later add a little bit heavier shadows, but E.G. says, "I know I can jump 20 feet. You know I can jump 20 feet, but does the bad guy know I can only jump 20 feet? Not all the good bluffs are in Colorado, you know." Having fun with puns is a great way to pass the time in this business and keep people reading. They may not be liking what they read, but at least they'll be coming back. Many famous artists, far more famous than I, have made their life on far more bad puns than that. Okay, here we have E.G. perched up on the side of the far side of the chasm, and she's screaming across, "Surrender now, I can leap 20 feet. I'm going to leap this chasm, and then I'm turning you over to the nearest U.S. Marshal." At which the bad guy shows he does not respond to bluffs well. He tosses the bag of flutes into the air, and as E-Girl comes leaping across the open space, he pulls out his very small flamethrower And unfortunately, E-Girl's bluff failed not only with him, but with her distance judging here. She falls just short and slams into the mountain face just below him as he says, "Ha, you missed and fell short, but I won't miss." And that's as far as we've gotten. I envision the next panel will be a close-up of him firing the flamethrower and saying, I will, something like, we might even go so far as to say, "Burn in hell, E-Girl," along with these flutes, or something very evil bad guy sounding like that, as he opens up with his flamethrower. And then a logical next panel would be for him to turn around and scream as something is coming out of the sky. The good old comic book scream. Aye! Very easy to spell, lots of letters. A certain game show TV hostess would be very glad for that. Anyway, that's as far as we've gotten, but this is where comic books come from. And yes, we all are slightly a little bit off the main track, but in the end, hopefully we will have a coherent story that makes sense. You now have had a sneak peek at about the first 5 pages of the new book, which will be 30 to 35 pages long when it's done. I may post a couple more short previews as we go along, so you can see these pages after heavier inking and color has been added, and as they make some sense. So, this is Ken Bailey and the Mighty Energy Girl signing off. Have a good day.